Could it be possible that your problem solving is your biggest problem now? If you're surprised, I think, let me share a story. I was coaching a senior leader, a CEO of a 80 to 100 people company, and this person is very committed. Right? This person is very committed. It was clearly visible in their language and also how they were showing up. He's very committed of doing things right, or making sure the quality of work that their team is doing is top class. And this is how they have grown. This is how they have grown to be a CEO of this large setup. And he told me that he jumps in and fixes any problem whenever they arise. And even not just for himself, but also for his people, also for his teams. His biggest challenge when we started our conversation was that his people and his teams were not taking responsibility or not showing up as owners like he was doing. And he wanted his team to step up. And he gave me an example that his team delivered a project on Friday, and then the client emailed on Friday night that this was not what they expected, and they kind of expected something better, a better quality from this company. And the leader told me that over the weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, they actually went into their team's work. They actually changed the entire flow and design of the project. It was a software project, and then send it back to the client over the weekend itself. And when they came on Monday, he thought that his team would be very happy because now he has jumped in and fixed their problems, and that would teach their team a lesson on how to really show up as leaders and owners. But he was very surprised, and he told me that I was very surprised that people were pissed off. Like people were quiet, people were totally pissed off. And this is the same story as what happened to me when I first became a leader. When I first started managing a team, I was promoted because I was good at what I was doing earlier. And when I became a manager, I just thought, now I will tell everybody what to do and where their problems are and how to fix it and what to fix. And I started doing that. I started telling everybody, you're wrong here, you should do this. This is the problem, go here and fix it. And I thought that would make everybody happy, and everybody would thank me for telling them and making them more productive. And to my surprise, what happened after that was my team suddenly went quiet. Like nobody was talking to me. Everybody was quiet. I could clearly see nobody was happy. Maybe there was frustration. There was some resentment building up, and I had no idea what was happening and why it was happening. And I remember for a long time, at least a few weeks, I was wondering that why anybody was not talking to me. Right? What happened to these people suddenly? Like I'm trying to help them, I'm trying to solve their problems, and they're not talking to me. What happened? And it was a big aha moment after a few weeks. I realized that, okay, I did that. My problem solving has become a problem, and I can't even see it. Not only was I unaware of the issue, I was also unaware that I was causing the issue. Can you see I was double blind? I was blind on two levels. I was unaware of what was making my team pissed off and suddenly silent. I was also unaware that my behavior or what I was doing was actually behind it. And this was a massive blind spot for me. And it is for a lot of leaders. They think that they're doing good. They think that they are doing what they're supposed to do, but they have no idea how their people are listening or interpreting that. And with my work with this CEO, I suggested he go out, meet, and listen to each of his teammates or to the team together as a group, and really inquire about how are they listening to him and his actions. Right? So when he comes in and solves their problems on a weekend, how are they listening to him? Because in his mind, he thinks that he should be listened to as that responsible leader who is setting up wonderful example, and everybody should be inspired and motivated by that. But when he went out and actually listened to his team, their listening was something he was totally blind of. So their listening was like, who is this jerk? Who does he think he is that he's going on the weekend and changing everything that we have spent so much time working on without even informing us. Their listening was that, like, why should I even work hard if my boss is going to change everything over the weekend? That was the listening that he was producing in his team and in his people by his actions. And that was totally opposite, right? He was thinking that it would create a listening that this is so motivating, this is inspiring, this is like my manager is leading by example. But instead he was blind that the listening that he was producing in his people was that, who is this jerk, right? And why should I even work? Why should I even care about anything? His people also told him, when he asked for clear, honest feedback, that it feels like he has become arrogant after he became the CEO. People used language like his title has gone into his head. And I also know that my coach, the CEO, is really cares about his people, right? He's a really humble person, but he was not aware of how his actions were creating an impression or a listening in his people that he is arrogant, right? Or his title has gone into his head. And once again, when two people are talking, there are always three conversations going on. One is the external conversation, what you're saying, and then the internal conversation in those two people, the internal listening, that how is each person listening to that. So even if you're talking like, I am acting responsibly, I am fixing your problems, even if you're doing whatever you are doing, but your team thinks, or the person in front of you thinks that the title has gone into your head, or why should I even care, then that listening, that internal listening, will drive more of your outcomes than what you think that you're speaking in words. So as a leader, it is very important to listen to how your people are listening to you. Right? It is very important to be aware of and listen, because otherwise you're totally blind and you have no idea that your actions are causing more harm rather than good. It was the same for me a long time ago, and it was the same for this client a few weeks ago. Right? And the big aha moment for this person also was, when you're looking for problems to fix, guess what will you find? You will find problems. Not just in work, but even in people, even in teams. Right? And nobody wants to be seen as a problem or seen their work as problematic. Right? And what once worked for your own work, right? So if I'm doing something, I see a problem in my own work. Now my work doesn't have a viewpoint, so it doesn't matter. But if I'm working with a team of people and I see problems in my team, now nobody wants to be seen or called as a problem, right? People argue, people fight back, people get defensive. So the rules change when you start working with people rather than when you are an individual contributor. So if you are looking for problems to fix, the same skill which made you successful as an individual contributor will backfire as a leader, as a manager, because nobody likes to be seen as a problem or as problematic. It's the same thing, right? When you decide to buy a new car, you suddenly start to see your car all around the road, right? It's not because of suddenly more people are also buying the same car. It's because you're going looking for that car and you are always going to find it. So if you're going looking for problems with your people, with your teams to fix, which is what a problem solving mindset is, you're continuously going to find it. And for leaders and for managers, that's a huge trap which most leaders are not aware of. And this is how our brain's reticular activating system works, that we are bombarded by so much information that we have to filter out what is useful and what is not. And we cannot just take on all the information that we are getting through our ears, our eyes, our senses. So we have to filter, and the RAS, the reticular activating system, does that job. And if we are looking for something like a problem or of our favorite car, our brain's RAS kind of filters that for us. So even if there are 100 cars on the road, we will see the car that we are looking for. Even if there is a lot of noise, we will listen to our name being called. And even if there is a bunch of things to do, we will always find the problem if we are looking for problems, right? This is how our brain works. You always find what you go looking for. If you go looking for a red car around you, you will find a lot of red cars. If you go looking for problems, you will always find problems. even in places where you should not be finding. And if you have been in team meetings, a lot of time you would notice that a meeting is started with bad news, or like this is a tough year, or this is going to be a challenging year. And you know, when you start a meeting with that, what everybody in the meeting will find challenges, will find those difficult situations coming suddenly to their memory, because kind of you have primed the room to look for challenges and difficult situations. What if you can instead start a meeting that irrespective of the situation, this is going to be our best quarter ever. Let's make this our best year ever. If you start a meeting not by saying that this is a tough time, but instead by saying that there are opportunities all around us, irrespective of the situation, guess what? Your people will suddenly start to see opportunities, possibilities. Even if there is a slightest of chance, their brains will suddenly be primed for look for that. Do you know what a big leverage that is as a leader? To have your people see solutions instead of problems, opportunities instead of difficulties, and a way out instead of stress and like being caught between a rock and a tight place. So once again, right, if you're looking for problems, what do you think you will find? You will find problems. And if you think your people are not taking responsibility, what do you think you will find? Or you will find evidences where your people are not taking responsibility. If you look at the same people and ask, how are these responsible people, or how are these same people taking up responsibility, you will also find evidences of where the same people are actually taking responsibility. And to sum this up, right, there is nothing secretive or mystical about it. All of this is very simple. You always find what you go looking for. Your brain always finds answers to the question that you ask it. If you're always looking for problems to fix, guess what will you find? I want to end this with, what are you looking for? As you move along your day, as you do your day to day, what are you looking for in yourself, in your teams, in your people, in the situation, in the economy that you are in? Look carefully, because you will always find what you go looking for. And powerful question to ask yourself is that, depending on the results that I want to produce, depending on the future that I want to create, is this way of looking coming in the way or helping me? Right? So always ask yourself, what are you looking for? And look carefully, choose carefully. Until next time, keep choosing leadership.